All right, let's do a quick power up for your brain. In just the next few minutes, we are going to revisit some of those math foundations. You know, this stuff that makes everything from chemistry problems to just everyday calculations a whole lot smoother.
Come on, we've all been there, right? You're just staring at an equation, and for a split second, your brain kind of freezes up, your confidence just dips. Well, this little explainer is designed to completely blow that hesitation away by just reinforcing the simple, solid rules that numbers live by. So first up, let's talk about what I like to call the basic grammar of math. Yeah, seriously. Just like any language, numbers follow a really clear set of rules. And once you remember them, everything else just starts to click into place. Let's start with the easy stuff, multiplication and division, because the rules here are actually beautifully simple. Think of it like this. If the signs are the same, so two positives or two negatives, the result is always positive. If the signs are mixed up, the result is always negative. And that's it. That consistency is your foundation. So, multiplication and division, pretty straightforward. But adding and subtracting negative numbers, that's where things can get a little tricky, right? So let's pull out a visual tool that makes it all perfectly clear. The good old number line. This is your roadmap, the number line. It's so simple. Think of it this way. Adding a positive number just means you move to the right. Subtracting a positive number, you guessed it, you just move to the left. It's that intuitive. Okay, let's put this roadmap into practice. We've got -4 minus +7. Easy. We find our starting point at -4. Now the rule for subtracting a positive is to move left. So we just count 7 spaces over, and we land squarely on -11. See? The number line gets you the right answer every single time. Now this brings us to the one single rule that trips people up more than anything else. When you see two negative signs right next to each other, like minus and -3, they basically just cancel each other out and become a plus sign. So yeah, subtracting a negative is really just a fancy way of adding. All right, with that foundation solid, let's build on it and take a look at algebra. I know, it might seem intimidating, but at its core, it's really just a puzzle. It's a balancing act with one very simple goal. Here is the single most important rule of algebra, bar none. Whatever you do to one side of an equation, you must, absolutely must do to the other. That equal sign, it's like the center of a balancing scale. To find x, you just have to systematically remove everything else from its side, all while keeping that scale perfectly level. Okay, let's try one. Look at this equation. We've got x on both sides, which is kind of messy. So first step, let's get them together. To get rid of that minus 16x on the right, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to add 16x to both sides. And look at that, so much cleaner. Now to get that 19x term by itself, we need to deal with the plus 25. Well, the opposite of adding is subtracting. So you know what to do. We'll subtract 25 from both sides. Which leaves us with this. We're so close. To finally get x all by itself, we just need to undo that times 19. So we do the opposite and divide both sides by 19. And boom, there's our answer. We've just balanced our way to the solution. See? Each step was simple, it was logical, and it led us right to the value of x. So now you've got the logic down, but let's be real. In practice, you're probably going to use a calculator. And this is where things can go surprisingly wrong if you're not paying attention. Your calculator is a powerful tool, for sure, but it only does exactly what you tell it to do. Okay, here's a classic mistake. You type this string of numbers in, and you're probably expecting the answer to be 4, but the calculator spits out 100. What? Why? Well, it's strictly following the order of operations. You know, PEMDAS. It does 4 times 25, then divides by 5, and then multiplies by 5. To get the answer you wanted, you needed to use parentheses to tell it what to do first. This quote from the source material just nails it. You have to know the quirks of your tool. And in parentheses, well, that's how you speak the calculator's language. They let you communicate exactly what you want it to do and override its default settings. And speaking of quirks, let's talk about one of the biggest errors people make when they're dealing with really big or really small numbers. You know, scientific notation. Here is the one thing you absolutely need to remember. That EE or EXP key on your calculator, it's a shortcut.
It's a package deal. It already means times 10 to the power of. So if you manually type times 10 before you hit that key, you're actually doing it twice, and your answer is going to be 10 times bigger than it should be.
Okay, let's bring it all home. From the grammar of numbers to the logic of algebra, and even the funny little quirks of your calculator, these aren't complex secrets. They're just simple rules that you can absolutely master. So, what are the key takeaways? It's simple. The number line is your roadmap for positives and negatives. Algebra's all about keeping that equation balanced. And your calculator? Well, it follows rules, and you use parentheses to tell it what you really mean. You know how this works. Now you've got the tools. And that leaves us with a final thought. Math often feels difficult, not because it's super complex, but just because we forget those basic foundational rules. So it makes you wonder, right? What else in your life seems hard, but might just be a few simple rules away from being easy?